I thought I would give a quick update on what I've been doing with the pavers since all the root removal down in there. I went ahead with regular builder's sand and brushed in a nice healthy dose, and then I did a washing, very concentrated washing over different places so that the sand would go down and under, follow gravity, and stabilize the blocks. I had a little bit of wobble on a couple of blocks after that, so as I'd already planned, I went ahead and added another volume of sand, spread nicely and evenly across all the blocks, and then I had excess left, so I left various piles here and there, and then I went in and washed in that sand as well. You will see that in some of the bigger gaps that we got, I still made sure it was down low. And the gaps occur because of how I talked in an earlier video. We have a curved driveway. And once you get in the ones that are straight with the sidewalk, you start getting this curve. And the curve causes these bigger spaces. And in the final end, you see there's a jaggedness going on. But that's not a problem at all. Now, what sand washed out accumulated in different places. This is pretty deep in here. This is somewhat deep, not a problem. And where it was a tight flow, it's deep. And it made its way on down here. All that overflow is fine because I am going to use sand and paver base to put in the rest of the pavers. And it looks like, trying to figure this out, I'll be cutting 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 triangular pieces to even this out. And you know what's a great thing right now? We're in the midst of an extreme drought situation in my state, and we are getting rain. And it just feels so good. The heat index out here was 108 this morning. So needless to say, I am not working out here for a few days until it gets a nicer temperature. One thing that I forgot to mention is some people would have the sand filled up all the way even to the top. I'm leaving it lower like that because I don't particularly like the contrast of gray, light sand to gray. So what I'm going to come in and do later for all these gaps that are showing a lot of sand, I am going to, here we go, I'm going to open a bag of this gray paver base that's nice and granular, and I am going to pour that paver base on top of all these crevices here, and I'm going to brush it in real good with a broom and get it in nice and level, and I'm going to hit it with water. I doubt it has too much of a space or places to go, but we'll see anyway. And if I need to, I'll hit it with a second amount of gray paver base, and then we'll have a nice flow color-wise. So that's something to think about if you've got gray pavers and regular old builder sand that you've used, and you want to get rid of this contrast. I suggest buying some gray paver base and brushing that in and rinsing that in. And then you don't have to worry about, especially for me, about seeing these big gaps. The gray is going to sort of blend in things, and it'll look nice. And I'll use that same idea all the way out here. Well, the saga continues, folks. Here I am out here with the heat warning, working today, taking lots of breaks, drinking lots of water, but I have hit 106 degrees. We have hit 106 degrees here in my town of the real feel. We're in the upper 80s, but it feels a lot hotter. As I talked about in an earlier video, after I put the sand in, I was going to come back behind it with the gray paver base you see that's flowed out. So now that very obvious, very irritating color change of gray to light sand to gray, that's now gone. The paver base reduces and softens that contrast. So that's how we look for right now. I'm pretty pleased with that. And later on today, if I feel like it, I probably won't with the heat, I'm going to add more paver base and lay out some more pavers. Let me show you what I just bought at Home Depot. So this is what's called paver edger, and I bought the ProFlex 6 foot. Hard to see with all the glare on my phone today. And I bought a whole bunch of the 8-inch spikes, nails, to nail it down. These edgers will go along the edge of the paver as such, and down to there and around. And I bought enough to do that complete area. So there you have it. Well, I am back at it out here, continuing to work on this project. I got some pavers here ready to go. Been to Lowe's, bought some more paver base, and I'm putting them in here as eyeballed as best as I could as level. I've tamped down the paver base and the soil beneath. You can see some of them need a little bit of adjustment, up, down, whatever, which I can do that easily later on. And I only work in about 15-minute shifts in weather like this, and then take a break in the shade under a fan and drink ice water. So we're knocking it out bit by bit. And you can see the tamp marks where I've tamped the paver base in. And as far as hauling pavers in a wheelbarrow, that is about the limit. I think there are 10 of them in here, and I could barely move that downhill even. So we'll get back to it and see how this project is going along. Well, all the pavers I'm going to put in, except for the triangle shaped ones I'm going to cut, they are all in. And the 12 foot by 3 foot section running along this curved driveway has, if you draw a line here, they have gone out past the line. So I may put them on my saw and cut them nice and even, so that'll look proper. But there you have it. The 12 foot section, 12 feet actually came into this marker here, so we went a little bit beyond, but that's fine. And there's how it looks with all the pavers in. These, of course, have been treated with the sand, and then I added the paver base on top to get a nice color in the cracks. These have yet to be leveled, and they are needing a couple treatments of sand to get them nice and firm in the ground. Most of these are very good. It's just some are high, some are low, and all that. And when I get that done, I'll add the gray paver base like I did in this section to get that nice even color throughout. But overall, I'm really happy with this. I'm glad how it has turned out. Well, the heat index is now 112, so it's time to quit for the day and have something to eat and take a shower. Today is actually a nice cool day. Started out in the 60s, gonna hover around the 80s. We will not have a terrible heat index. And what I'm doing today is I'm taking my paver base and I've moved some into a small bucket. So as I'm working, trying to bring these up and level them, I will have my paver base right here. Now it is tricky once you've laid your pavers out like I've done, just to get a general feel for how everything is going. Getting them up's a little tricky, so I've got some tools to be able to pick this guy up and then level it out. So that's what I'm going to be doing for most of the morning. I have been able to finish this row right by the driveway, and it's 98% stable, so it's ready for the sand. Now let me go show you something. Now to make my paver base and sand go further, this refuse pile of paved stone from Home Depot, I went ahead and used the rake and raked out the big stones and was able to get the more granular and smaller stones of this to augment my leveling job. So currently I have about a bag and a half of the paver base, and let's see what we have here. The sand. Yeah, I got a little over half a bag of sand here and then 2 on hand. So that should be enough to finish out these 2 lines of pavers coming this way. Then I'll have sand left over to sweep into the cracks and wash in, and I should also have paver base to also sweep into the cracks and wash in, so I have that nice even color change, pavers, paver base, pavers, and it just looks a lot better than having sand. Also, I got a little bit of sand here, a little bit of overflow of paver base and whatnot outside of where the triangular blocks are going to go. So, as well as I'm going to be digging out this area for the paver edging support system, the brackets, so to speak. So I'll have all that on hand as well to use to finish out the project. I'm big on using every bit that you have available and improvising along the way. Like I said on a big job out back that I did many years ago and put on YouTube, putting in my floating decks, the job shows you what to do as you go along. You'll have a major plan, an idea, and supplies, but you always run into something you hadn't anticipated. Okay, that's it for now. It's time for a break. I have a serviceman coming to the house and I need to be with him. And here we are. All this 12-foot section, 3-foot wide, is leveled, minimally wobbly. It's now time to add the sand and brush it in. I'll do that 2 times. And then I will add a final brushing in of gray paver base. I am known for doing things different than you see online and YouTube and places like that. And what am I doing different? I'm not sweeping the sand in. I am hoeing the sand across the pavers. I get a nice flat fill and nice even control rather than pushing a broom around. I find this works really well. So the first treatment, addition of sand before watering in, took about 1 bag of sand, and I've got that left over, which I'm going to now use the coal shovel to put into the wheelbarrow. All right, let's get to it, see what we get. And here we have the first watering in. I'm going to walk on these blocks, check the wiggle waggle. Not feeling any, that's a good sign. Watering in has been done pretty nicely. Yep, it's as simple as that. Being 290 some pounds, that's plenty enough compaction check and wiggle wobble check on these blocks. Okay, I'm going to take a break and hit it with one more treatment, wash it in, and then the gray paver base. And this section is all done. Woohoo! We're nearly at the final step of washing in this gray paver base to match the gray pavers. Yeah, this is pretty much what it looks like after I dumped a big amount up there and I took the hoe and worked my way back down to here. So now it's time to water it in. We'll take a look what that looks like in a little bit. Ta-da! Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this. I'm liking how this looks. As hot as it is, these pavers will be dry very soon and we'll get to see what it looks like in regards to the part that's already done. So the next step, probably tomorrow, I will educate myself on cutting pavers to have my triangle blocks, and then I will dig out around the edge and put in the edger. I may put in the edger first, then cut the blocks, and then put them in like pieces in a puzzle. We'll see how that goes. But anyhow, that is it for now. I've worked long enough today. I hope you're learning something, anybody that decides to watch these videos I provide. Today I am installing the ProFlex paver edging. This is 6 feet long. The height here is 1 3/4 inches, and the width away from the pavers, once you set it in the ground, it's right around 2 3/4 inches. So my job today is to go around my pavers and create a width enough to put it in and a depth enough so that the edging is not sticking above the pavers. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And the edging, as I said earlier in the video, I'm going to put the edging in first before I put in my triangle shape pavers. Ran into an issue last night. I was double checking before I started cutting blocks today, and I stupidly bought the wrong diameter saw blade. So I returned that this morning, and I've got the replacement, the correct size, the 7-inch saw blade, the diamond blade, is due to arrive sometime before 11 a.m. today. The basic plan for getting the edger in is you've got to go down to right at the bottom of the pavers, and you got to have the right width. So let's lay this guy down and let's see what we've got for now. All right, I like that pretty good. Running alongside things nicely here. Now the spacing on the spikes, at least on the Home Depot website, had it spike 1, 2, 3 empty, and then a spike. I went with spike 1, 2, 3, 4 holes empty, and then a spike. That reduced my overall need for this whole job from needing 45 8-inch spikes down to 35. And at 72 cents a spike, that saves you a good amount of change. So the next step that's going to happen is I'm going to make sure my level here is right for the edger. And what I will do now is I will cut this band here and fold it around. And we'll do that in a minute, after I secure the spikes all the way to the base. All right, I have my first 6-foot length put in, and you notice the places where the edger wasn't exactly buff up against the pavers, I just put in some paver base from this extra pile I had here. And even though I cut this right where I needed to cut it, getting it to fold right along the very edge of the paver, very difficult. So I said, forget it. I nailed it in right where it is and filled it in with paver base. So these are not going anywhere. So then the next step is to run one along here and determine where the 45-degree angle starts and send it right on out. Yahoo! My diamond saw blade just arrived, hand delivered by the Amazon lady. I came out to take a look-see at where I was with putting in the paver edging, and I noticed something quite important to consider. We talked earlier about how the pattern of the pavers would be off. Well, you know, I was going to cut my pavers right square from corner to corner on a diagonal and try and put them in. But I came to realize here that is not going to work, because we've got this little jog here. So I'm going to have to make a template for this particular triangle shape, as well as this one will be close, but it may not fit like that one there. Same thing going on here. This paver's shifted a little bit further closer to being in line, but not exactly. So we will have to cut things as needed. Same deal is going to be for this one. Going to have to make a template. And when I finally get the paver edging to go across to here, we'll most likely have to make a template here. Now, the other cutting that I need to do is just straight line across this block and this block. And I'm not going to be able to complete all the paving edging until these are cut. So that's something for me to keep in mind. All right, it is time to get on it. The paver edger is now in all the way around the whole area that I want it to be around. I have those 2 blocks to cut to fit in there. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 uniquely shaped triangle blocks to complete the situation. Right now, I'm going to take a break and have a quick overall look and see if anything has jumped out at me as needing attention. I don't think so. I think the next thing is sawing pavers, which I have done probably 25 years ago. Didn't have a problem. So we'll jump into it quite soon. One thing I forgot to mention, you'll notice that some of these spikes are not all the way in. I did that in case I need to adjust for any reason. And I also did that partial nail in down at the end of things in case I needed to adjust the in to some degree. But once I know everything will work and all the pavers will fit that I cut, I'll go ahead and nail them down the rest of the way. It's just a tip for you guys trying to do this. Yesterday, I put together this little holder device to put my pavers on, and I've got my new saw here, saw blade, and my good old trusty Craftsman. So we're going to look at what kind of depth we got on the blade, and that is good. We will go all the way through the paver. Now, when you're doing work like that, it's good to have a lot of ventilation. I will be placing this wood cutting base out here, and I'll probably have this fan somehow blowing the dust. But on top of that, I'm going to be smart. I will have this breathing mask on, so I'm not getting particulates embedded in the walls of my lung and my bronchial tubes. And I will have these safety glasses. I wished I had goggles that fit tight against my face, but for right now, I'm going to depend on those to stop anything from hitting my eyes, and I'm going to depend on this fan system for blowing the dust away. So once I get ready, I'll get to it and we'll have a look at how things work. Here is my Wowie Zowie paver cutting ventilation system ready to kick in. So let's do it to it. Ready to rock and roll. My first cut was a little off because I found out the saw blade was a little loose. So now we're going to try and redo this. Plus, I needed to add weight over here because as I was pushing this along, everything was shifted. So things should be better now. We hope.
got here. I'll take that. Very, very close to my score line. So now I'm going to go see how it fits in my paver edging system.
Well, my fresh cut block fits quite nice. It's a little high. I'll have to take a little bit of the support sand paver base out to get it nice and flush, but I like how this looks. Now this edge here doesn't have a bevel on it, but I am not going to take to a grinder or anything like that and try and fix that. I'm not going to worry about how that looks, and I will adjust the edger in a little tighter once I get these final pavers in. Looks good. And there we go. That looks nice, I think. And I did something a little different. I flipped the cut edge towards the spacer. So you got bevel to bevel, bevel to bevel, and then the cut edge here. Now any of this space here and here and here, I'll be putting some sand and gravel base to finish it off, just like I did all this. So this end is finished. And what we have left now is to create some templates for these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different triangular shapes. And I will be cutting those soon. Right now it's time for a sitting in the fan, drinking a water break. I was able to fill in 2 triangle spots. Fortunately, the one that I cut for here, the leftover piece, fit nicely here. So now all I have is 1, 2, 3 left to fill. And hopefully what I cut for one of these will be able to be used in another, and then I'll have 1 block left to cut. And then do some sanding in, sweeping, hoeing, watering in, as well as the same down here. And voila, we will be done with this outstanding project. What I will then do once I have what I need done as far as the pavers go, I will pile dirt up in over top of the edger and tamp it down really good. And eventually I think we're going to plant some liriope along here and going into here, and the rest of this area is going to be a planting bed. All right, and I will nail those last 8-inch spikes in once I get the triangular pieces in. All right, back to work. Well, I am quite pleased to say all the pavers that are going in are done. But anyway, there we have it. It'll be time to add in the sand treatments and then finally the gray paver base, which I think I'll do that now while I'm still conscious. I'm going to hit these new areas here and here and here where the triangle pieces were cut and put in with a little bit of my leftover paver base. Wash those in, and then I'm going to begin putting dirt back in to cover the edging. And I have plenty of dirt to pull in from there. And let's see, yes indeed, I still have a huge pile of dirt to transport to fill in all this good stuff here. So let's get on it. Woohoo! It has been a long train coming, but our paver patio area and walkway is now finished. All I wait for now is some weeds or some kind of grass to start filling in the dirt areas, and maybe our plantings of our own, but I hate to plant stuff in extreme drought conditions. But as you can see, I piled soil back up onto the paver edgings and I tamped it down good. So this edge looks nice and clean and finished. So overall, I'm quite pleased with how this is all worked out. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. Tune in again. You never know what Source Codex, aka Jazz Fusion Guy, is going to be up to next.